And it's Dan and James talking about the Villa games. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the brand new episode of the AVFC Faithful podcast with myself, Dan, and of course, James, back at it once again. And, one half of this podcast expected what happened to happen on Saturday happened. So I'll take my flowers in the comments if they're coming through. But, I haven't got it with me, but I was thinking of making a sub on the time poster behind us, to be honest, to sort of have it on. Maybe I can edit it background. But nothing short of a Villa Park demolition, was it, James?
It wasn't. I mean, you called it. You said that it was going to be a result where people like look at us and be like, "Oh, they're serious about this challenge now," and we were. And I don't think it wasn't just the result; it was the performance as well. Like I expected it to be quite a tight game. I think I said 1-1, and I thought that it'd be like back and forward, but majority of the game we controlled and we bullied them. Large parts of the game they just couldn't live with us, and I think that was it's quite refreshing because I mean we are used to like the slower approach and build up and that, but it was like we thought, no, we're going for it, we're going for you. You know, we're going to take the game to you. And there was a pass map that's going around. Mings and Konsa, I don't think they played 5 passes between them.
Crazy.
We were forward passing constantly, and Newcastle couldn't live with it. It was just amazing, and I think that there felt like something in the air on that morning. Yeah. And I wasn't around Villa Park, but from the clips you could see, the photos and the coverage on TV, there felt like something good was going to happen, and it was almost like there was a unspoken trust from the fans that they were going to see something that day, and the atmosphere sounded like it was really good, and the players fed off it and they gave back. So all in all, just it was like the perfect Saturday.
Yeah, like you say, as soon as I turned on the game, and for the first time in a very long time, I listened to actual pre-match build-up, which I don't usually do because it's usually on Sky, and I usually just get a bit angry at the fact that they talk about us for 5 minutes and say these players didn't try it under Gerrard and things like that. I get quite tired of the takes like that. But listen to Peter Crouch talk about Emery first of all, and then also about Watkins was such a breath of fresh air because it was just open and honest. And like you said, Emery's been widely disrespected by the Premier League fans and by Britain as a whole, really. And he's proven it. That game on Saturday was nothing short of just an elite level manager putting his balls on the pitch and going, "This is me. This is what I can do to you." And we have got a bit as well. Newcastle does us a favour by not even really bothering to turn up as well. I watched that defence and was shocked at how strong it actually is, because I think Trippier got burned around, I think 5 times in the first 25 minutes by Moreno or Ramsey.
Yeah.
You've got Dan Burn, who lost his head within 2 seconds of being with John McGinn, somehow escaped a booking and ended up being replaced for Matt Targett, which I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, "Quick, let's bring on Matt Targett." So, all in all, it was one of those games where, and that's not, I think Targett was underrated for us looking back on it, but obviously he isn't the level of left back that you would expect for a top 4 team that Newcastle are. So, yeah, I was just amazed because I was so anxious. I think you were as well. We were both saying we were going to sort of fly off the roof if anything sort of went on. And it's definitely the loudest this house has been listening to a Villa game in a while, because it felt like the catalyst, like I said last week, where everyone sort of cottons on to what we found out already, and it's sort of like the evidence to back us up, because it is huge. Let's not be silly about it. We've beaten a team that is probably quite likely to finish top 4, if not top 5 this season, and I couldn't be happier with the game at all.
Yeah, well, they're the best defense in the league, I think, and you wouldn't have thought so on that day. No. And as you say, I don't think a Newcastle player turned up and had a good performance. I mean, Anthony Gordon was at Villa Park, which makes me happy.
Absolutely horrendous. I cannot believe the money they spent on that bloke.
Yeah, I think he'll turn out to be a good player, but the money that they've spent and what I've seen so far, doesn't look good enough. But I mean, they just couldn't live with us. I think we set the tone early. That first chance within 30 seconds, I mean, I was going, I thought it had gone in.
Yeah.
But I was rewatching the game earlier, and I think what sent out the warning was the shot hit the post. It goes out to either Botman or Burn, and McGinn just goes through him.
Yeah.
Puts the ball out of play, goes through him and takes him. It's like a warning to say, we're not shying off from you. We're going to be physical with you. And that was a fit. I'm not losing my mind as the fly. It was just a physical game, but it wasn't. We weren't weak. I think we don't have the physical edge like Newcastle do, but we look like we did. We were winning second balls constantly, and I can't remember a Villa team that's done that recently.
No.
In recent times, we've been so weak in it, and it was just so good to see. And Ollie Watkins, he put on a masterclass. I saw, I don't know if you know Premier League panel on Twitter.
Yeah,
he does. I think he said that it was like a prime Mandzukic performance, and I can see that he just had everything in his game. And the setting up Ramsey for that first goal, my God, that was a great header.
I'll be honest with you, right? Because I'm so not used to seeing things like this for Villa. I was like, that's a mistake. Because it looked like when you first see it and you rush like that, you're like, oh, fair play to him. But, he's got it for the header. It's bounced off, luckily. Where I watched it back, I thought, my word. To go up thinking you're going to be scoring and then making that split-second decision to change it back whilst being pushed in the back, and the way he did it, I couldn't believe. I messaged you 45, maybe. I thought, what was it? 12:45. I think it was about 10 minutes into the game, and I said to you, "This is Jacob Ramsey's game. This is the game. He's imprinted himself on this. As soon as he touched the ball the first time and spun Kieran Trippier, I went, this is it. He's got it now. All he needs is that one. As soon as he beats his man like that, he's having the game, and that's what he's missed the past couple of weeks. And I couldn't be more grateful for it because Watkins needs that, because we need.
Yeah,
he's had Buendia helping him a lot. Obviously, we've not had Bailey helping too much. We've got Traore coming off the bench, but to have Ramsey starting and helping is nothing but gold dust for us. And yeah, it was the perfect game for Watkins, like you said. And I'm sure Newcastle was stunned that I don't think they've ever seen their defence be riled that much, and they couldn't counter him at all. He literally said, "Look, you want it? Try it. Come on. I will run, and I will run. I will win balls. I'll play him off." That second goal, wow, technically scored 3, but the one offside one while being tight was, best
so
goalkeeper in the world, Nick Pope. We don't talk about it too much, but that second goal he scores where he just pops it in and just stands there. I think that's sort of, he's finally realised just what a player he is, and I think he knows we finally realised it. That standing ovation he gets as well is perfect, because I don't think we were going to get a chance for him to get his hat trick. I think Unai knew that and probably knew it was best for him to take the applause, and then for Sean Duran to come on, have a good run, and then kick someone, because he's a god.
That was almost a favourite bit of the game. He come on, kicked 7 shades of shit out of someone, and walked around like he owned the park, and I absolutely loved him for it. It was so good. But yeah, that I was thinking about it. That whole left side of our team is just so nice. You think of Moreno, Ramsey, Louise, and Watkins all occupying that sort of left area. That's such a nice blend of players, and Moreno was just incredible that game. I might bore someone with a bit of stats here, and that's a bit of a risk considering the last few days. But Moreno accumulated 0.28 XT, just 3 passes. I don't know what his carries were, but that's a good return. He had the most threat through 3 passes in the game, and he was just everywhere up that left side. He was linking up, driving past players. As soon as he sent Trippier, I think it was Trippier anyway, with that little knock past him early in the game. My God, I was like, he's going to have a good game. And as you say, Ramsey as well started early, putting Watkins through and spinning his man, linking up, driving forward. Just everything was on point. And, that is the benchmark of performances now, that we've got to try and hit as often as we can. And we won't always hit that. That's not how football works, but that's what you aim for. And I think you messaged me on the same night saying, you look at the fixtures and you think, we could actually win all of these. As in, we're capable. I'm not saying that we will, but you look at them and you think, well, I think we've beaten the best of these last 8 already. So,
definitely capable of not losing any of them. At least
Yeah,
I don't. I look at them like I genuinely think the only one I'm actually worried about is Brentford on the weekend. It's the only one that actually strikes a bit of fear within me. The rest of them I'm not. I'm not worried about because I feel like Brentford's the only team that have got that little. There's just something about them I don't like. I like them I really like the club and I really like the team. I just don't like playing them, and I don't know why.
I
I just
think
get this air of uncertainty around them.
yeah, they're efficient side, and especially from the set pieces as well.
Mm.
But so are Newcastle, and we had a really aggressive way of stopping them at corners, and we left two players at the pitch. So obviously they had to leave two or three back, and it was a
Yeah,
really offensive way of stopping them in that sense. And it was like I love that.
yeah,
But I think there's two games that stand out to me, and one of them's Brighton on the last day because Brighton looked like they could go to any team and slap them about. But we did a job on them earlier in the
yeah,
season. That was Unai's second game, so we can do that again at home. And being that,
yeah.
honestly, I'll keep thinking about that game, last game of the season. Europe could be on the line, and the sun should be shining. Hopefully, I just think that the atmosphere could be great. But then the other game that does stand out to me is Liverpool at Anfield
Mm.
because it's Anfield, and
Yeah.
if they're hitting their form again, they seem to have found a nice little formula with Trent going into midfield recently. They look like they're onto something, and they're going to hit the playoff end of the season, you could call it, and they're going to want to push for Europe. Oh, I still think they will finish above them.
Yeah, because
But
I don't
that's
even
a
think
tough
it's.
game still.
Yeah, I think so many people underestimate the teams down below, and like when we beat them, it was laughed upon as us sort of going on about it. So like, who have you beat? Well, we're beating teams that are taking results off of other teams that are either around us or above us at times.
Yeah,
Make no mistake, while they look dead and buried, Southampton will have no problem turning up for one more game this season and somehow beating Liverpool because they can, because they're that
yeah,
type of team. All teams in this league have the ability to beat anyone, barring, well, not wouldn't even say barring City or Arsenal because it can happen. West Ham probably should have beat Arsenal the other day, judging by the end of the game. The way that the league goes, it's not as simple as saying they're playing that team, it's definitely a win. It's only that simple, and it's us. Um, it's more a case of I care more about seeing us continue this form and just run it through to the end of the season. We do obviously want to know now where everyone else is sort of finishing, whereabouts we're going to end up. I mean, I've still put us to finish sixth in my predictions. I believe that where everyone is now is where it will finish. I do think Spurs will finish above us, and I do think that Liverpool will finish below us. And I do think that Newcastle and United will get top four. But I think that really changes the second that either of them drop points again. Because whilst Newcastle drop points, Man United win.
yeah,
And it's an interesting gap, I think. And it's one that you mentioned him already, but having someone like Moreno and having the ability of having Young on the other side at the moment really helps because we talk about it a lot. And let's talk about tactics and stats because, like you said, it's going down well at the moment. But we overload the right to sort of give the opportunities to the left, like you always talk to me about, because obviously I moan about the right side all the time. And having Young there as a utility player really helps. And I think he really shone on Saturday as well because he sort of managed to. He looked at Gordon and went, "You've not got your personal backing for yourself this game." And I've never seen Ashley Young step out on the pitch and shy away and look
yeah,
like he doesn't believe in himself. And that is 50% of the game, as can be seen with Ollie. It's 50% of the game to believe in yourself to finish the chances. Same with defending. And that's what he did. And he knew, look, I've got Conte next to me. Then Donker in front of me to the left. He's going to help me as well if I need it. And every time Ashley Young pushed forward, I seemed to see then Donker sort of slot in. If he wasn't the one pressing forward, he would slot in at that right back. And I admire seeing Ashley Young do that because let's not be silly. Gordon would probably burn him for pace if he needed to, but he just stood away from it a little bit. And then the second he knew Gordon was coming, was like, right, 1 foot forward because you're not watching. And Gordon
yeah.
got caught offside twice, I think, like clear offsides as well, which it never looks good for a winger, does it really? So yeah, it's odd for me to compliment fullbacks because I don't think I've ever done it apart from Matty Cash a couple of times, and it's nice to see that while he's probably not, who we're expecting to play at right back for us really in our starting 11, we can play with him. We're beating a top defence in the league with him in there, and all power to Ashley Young, because at the moment he's out of contract in the summer, but I'd expect that to change.
Yeah, he's not the long-term solution, but he's one of those utility players that every team needs. I think because what he lacks in his physical attributes, now he makes up with his mental attributes. He's not going to be outwitted very often. You know that he was found out, you could say, in the Leicester game by a good touch and pace, and that's the way that you're going to beat him. The only way, really, because he's clever. You know, he's a winger by trade. He knows the moves. He knows what to expect. But on the ball, I think that's probably why he's so good in this team, is because he's so composed. He's got experience, and he doesn't want to just clear the ball. He wants to play him to midfield. And there was a couple of angle passes that he did, and it's freed up loads of space. But touching on Dendoncker, he had a really good performance. It was a nice way for him to celebrate his birthday, really. And I think it might be a controversial take, but I think I mean, there's enough of those going around at the moment, but I think that he added more balance to the squad than Kamara does. But Kamara gives us more threat. That's sort of how I see it. So I was just playing around in my head the other day about how we could fit both of those in a team, and I could almost see Kamara playing in the back line, in a sense, playing out, but then Donker plays alongside Louise to give him like a screen. I just like what he did. He didn't do anything flashy. He was just always on his man, broke up play and moved it on, and he didn't look out of place. So yeah, it's just one of those things. This tight knit squad, they know their value to the squad at the moment, and they know that that they can offer something if needed. And Emery knows that, and he's got the trust in them.
Yeah,
I think that's really nice, because we always talk about how we need the extra depth, and we do in certain areas, but having this sort of chemistry between players and not feeling too threatened has brought out the best in them.
Well, I was shocked mainly because when he came in, I thought that he was going to look at a lot of the squad and think that they're not what I need and they're not what I can work with. And you mentioned the controversial takes. Obviously, I think I spent a lot of to our newer listeners. Obviously, we've been doing this since the start of the season pretty much. And I made it quite clear at the start of the season, I didn't think that John McGinn would be anywhere near where he is now for us. I was quite adamant that we should be getting rid of him in January, even let alone the summer. And I was wrong, clearly. And while some people do say that maybe it's the manager, I think it goes hand in hand, and you can say that for anyone. Of course, a player's going to play for a better manager. Like, that's just, I think, basics. And when it comes down to it, I think when you watch these players, it's all about how they adapt to the system they're being put in and how they make the system their own. And I think that's what John McGinn's done. I think he's managed to keep his own game, but use Emery's system. I'm fairly certain it was that game. And I think John McGinn he doesn't misplace Pat, he chooses the wrong option. Watkins comes short at the front. He's got a left side option, but it isn't great, and he still plays the left and it goes out. I think it was John McGinn or Douglas Luiz, and Emery is screaming. He throws that, he's going like that. We're winning at the time, and you see it and you think, that's what you want. I want to see a man just screaming at a misplaced pass every time, because I've watched so many this season under Gerrard, and he just kept going. Because you're screaming, because in my mind, I can do that.
Yeah,
I can, but I think I can, and I think you should be able to make a simple pass, and we weren't doing it, and now we are. And if we're not, he's screaming, and they're probably thinking, I said a fucking 15 minutes on that 2-hour post-match analysis debrief we've got to do after this. So keep the passes to a minimum, boys, and maybe that's why we're getting our centre-backs not placing too many between them. But I'm just in a state of euphoria when I watch us now.
It
really is, and a controversial week in Villa Twitter, but I think the way we're performing is we've, in some games, I'm going to say it, have utilised luck to succeed, but every good team makes their own luck. And you don't get in those positions without being a good team and a good squad and with tactics to back it up. And while XG is a word that's probably made a lot of people press close on their YouTube browser right now. I think it's a metric that is used for a certain reason, and nobody believes it to be the reason what it's actually been used for, if you get what I mean. I think people think that, like Ollie Watkins taking a shot inside the box, it goes in, it's a goal, but why doesn't it equate to like 1xG? And I don't understand the maths. I'm not going to sit here and say I do, and I don't look at my games and go, how have we done in xG afterwards? But I think it's a metric that's useful to football clubs, not football fans. And because we've got the access to this data, things like that, I think we're thinking, why do I care about that? And I think sometimes we need to go, we don't need to care. It's not for us to care. It's for people who want to care, and it's for the football clubs to care. And we can just look at it if you want, or look at it if you're not. Don't not worry.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
worried.
We're just enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think for me, looking at that sort of stuff's a hobby when I get time to and that. But nothing beats the eye test, and
No.
and analysts will agree with that. At the end of the day, like you could chat to them about it, and they'll they can create opinions upon data, but you can't explain some things in football, and it sort of goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And what Emery is doing is, he's meticulous. He spends, you hear it, he spends so much time planning at the training ground, and he probably spends all his time at home planning and just constantly planning and coaching and managing. That's the thing for me. He's become a manager of this club, and it just feels like he's been here for longer than he has. I think everyone's just took to the culture, and he's took to the club, and I think he's just instantly got us, and that's a key part to it, because if it's a fan base and the club in general, I think the word symbiotic, something like that, and basically it's living together for mutual benefit.
Sort of like Venom and Spider-Man.
Yeah, so that they need each
How
other.
my brain goes, yeah,
effectively. And I think if you're both on the same wavelength and you're using each other for a benefit, you get great results. And that's how it felt on Saturday. The crowd gave something for the players to feed off, and the players gave it back for the crowd to feed off. And I think that's something that Emery's created. He's come in and he's already made big decisions like getting rid of Ings and selling off some of the deadwood and demanding a certain way of playing. But he's always got fans on his mind. First thing he does in interviews is this is so good for the fans, and thank you to the fans. And sorry, that goes a long way in football, because football's about moments in time. And I think that's another thing when you see him yelling at players for misplaced pass or the wrong pass or not being brave enough, it's because the games can change on the flick of a switch and something can happen. So you do have to make the most out of it. But by the sounds of it, he's nurturing to the players when they need that as well. So I think he's just a perfect blend. And that whole conversation about if he's elite or not, which I believe he is. I don't think you can have that much success and not be considered elite, but he's right for us, and that's the main thing. The style that he's brought in, and he's coached to the fans and the players at the same time, and the way that he approaches everything. And this team just feels in the same level as that playoff final team. That sort of the collective, and I feel like I know that team again. I know nothing about them personally, but I feel like I do, and it's just so good to feel like that again.
Yeah, in terms with the managers, if I look back through it, you sort of got Dean Smith, who was right for the squad and the fans, but not for the club. You had Gerrard, who was right for the club and wrong for the fans and the squad, and you finally got Emery, who's right for all three. I think something I've taken notice of, which is something I was always keen to point out against Gerrard, Emery doesn't go over and clap the fans. Now, the biggest point of this I will always make out, Emery doesn't go over and clap the fans, full stop. And I like that, because he's not done it once and doesn't do it and then does it. Like, it's not something you can pick up on. You don't see it talked about, because no one actually cares, and no one cared Gerrard. No one ever cared about Gerrard not clapping the fans. People cared that Gerrard would clap and take the glory when he won, and ran down the tunnel when we lost, and wouldn't confront the fans when they lost.
Yeah.
That was the issue. And
Yeah.
seeing the fact that Emery is the same every single game, he is the same. All right, it's probably different. Say if we won a trophy, or if we got Champions League last game of the season, he'd probably be a bit different. But he is the same every game. Gets straight, claps the sides at home when he's off or like that, or he'll do like a little like hand up to the away fans as he walks off. But he's off down the tunnel, probably off to open the laptop and analyze it straight away. Does his interview, gets on the coach, opens up the laptop again, and carries on. That's what I enjoy about him, is that he's exactly what you see him as, and there's no sort of, you don't get snarkiness from him or sort of like, oh, I'm worried that he's going to just up and run, like when Tottenham got rid of Conte and Chelsea got rid of Potter. Almost called him Harry then because of the everything. God, sorry, it's like you transformed in front of me. It was outrageous. There was talk of people being like, "Oh, we should be worried that he's going to go." And you don't get that feeling with him. You sort of get the idea that he finds a project and he buys into it and he gives everything onto it. And clearly, he's given a lot over to the club, to the fans, to the squad, and it's just outstanding, isn't it? We've got results with a great manager and a great squad and amazing owners. I can't think of anything going wrong at the moment, and I keep seeing really, really good food being served at the ground.
Yeah,
which is a personal highlight for me. Like if I'm getting down there before the end of the season, I will hunt it. I will hunt the food down.
I'm seeing good pictures come out of food from the Holt, so I am going to see what it's like on Tuesday when I go, because I haven't been to the Holt. The last time that I went in the Holt end was FA Cup replay against Wickham, the season that we went down.
Wow.
So, a lot's changed since then.
Yeah, I'm
looking forward to that. But yeah, the thing around Emery, as I say, it fits. I feel like at the moment, I feel like he's going to be here for a long, long time. And we're only, how many games are we in now? About 20 games. Like of his game, he's had 20 games or something. Like, just feels like this has been forever and it will be forever. It's just nice to be part of, and you do wonder now, like, what we're going to be capable of this season. Because, as I said earlier, I go into every game believing that we're coming out of it with a win or at least a point. And I can't remember the last time I felt like that.
Well, I didn't even feel like it went on our 10-game winning run under Smith. No. I didn't believe. You always believed that the next game was going to be the faulting point, and I just don't see it now. And yeah, whilst I said earlier, I'm cautious of playing against the likes of Brentford. I don't think that we're going to slip. I don't see us falling. What's he got? He's got an over 2 point per game average, which is ridiculous. That means he's nearly averaging a win every game.
Well, I mean,
he's not far off, is he?
Well, I mean, if we're averaging 2 points a game, 7 games left, that's 14 points, and then we'd end up on 64 points, which
unbelievable.
You're probably guaranteed Europe then. Unless everyone else has unless everyone else has a perfect record, like Brighton and Liverpool with the games in hand. If you didn't get Europa League from that, you'd be so unlucky.
Yeah, I think you got European results to go in different ways as well. I mean, we've got a team that can win the Europa League still. We've got, as of this time, we're recording at 12 minutes past 8 on the 18th of April. We've still got 2 clubs in the Champions League. Probably due to be won by the end of this recording. I'll stick my neck out on the line, and judging by James's face, who's got the game on the background, so it's all up in the air, and I'm not looking at it. I keep trying to ask people what happens if this. I'm not thinking about it. We end up where we end up, and I'm not worried about the games. Let's put it that way. I don't think that's the tripping point. I think what we'll do is now is I say we. I'm not going to take credit for it. James Powell a tweet earlier on the Faithful Pod account. I'll get it up now because I'll be lying if I said I memorized it off my head. Now, it was asking 3 very important questions. It was, who do you think
Who do you think?
So it's just capitalised. I feel like I have to emphasise it. Who do you think has been the most pivotal player under Emery? How many goals will Ollie have coming the end of the season? And where will we finish? Now, we're at about 45 responses now. I'm sorry, I'm not going to read them all out now. I can smell my dinner and I'm very hungry. As much as I love you all, I'm very hungry. So I picked out a couple key names. I know you've got a couple as well, James. So we'll have a little chat about them. The two I wanted to pick out that I backed most, which is controversial because it's not including the main one, and that's because I think I'm going to leave him for you because he's your guy because you backed him more than I did. So the two I wanted to point out were McGinn and were Louise. Were my two that I wanted to talk about, and I think I'll let you say the two that you know.
Mine would actually be Watkins and Mings.
It's hard, isn't it? Because you love the whole squad, and there's no one's been bad under him. Bailey, not bad, but bad in comparison. Yeah, exactly. It's hard. It's hard when you've got the comparisons coming through, and I think the one, if I had to pick one as a whole, out of the two I've picked, I'd actually go with Douglas Luiz. I think if you were to take Douglas Luiz out, I think it hurts more than if you were to take John McGinn out. Personally, out of the two of them, it's so hard though because I still think though I think Mings has always had that ability in him, and I think he's needed a manager to back him, and he's needed the ability to play under a system that isn't leaving him on his own as well. I think that's my view on him. But I think whilst all of them have been so great, and you got like some Moreno you can pick out on as well, Douglas Luiz, man, the way he operates in that role, the role that we've starved him from since he's been here, and he's gone from nearly being us all talking about let's cash in on him next summer, now I'm like, I don't want to see him in any other strip apart from our away or third or training. That's it. He spreads the play when he needs to. He's there. He's just there is what I love about him. Every time the ball comes into the box, I think he's going to get it. I can't see him sometimes. I'm like, Doug Luiz has got that. And he does. He's just around, gets himself about, and he's so much less rash now, I think. He's just not that, because sometimes he'd fly in for things that he just had no business going in for, and he'd miss it. He'd make the most outrageous passes. You think, what are you doing? And he's sort of rubbing that out of his game, and it's only greatness, I think, for me. And he's my one anyway. But that's not discounting John McGinn. Obviously, he's changed my mind completely, and he's become a stalwart at right mid, which no one predicted would be where he'd end up, but he has, and more power to him, because seeing him stick that ass out and beat his man is never going to get old, ever.
Yeah, he's been really good, and talking about Luiz rubbing it out of his game, I'm rubbing one out watching him play. Honestly, he's so fucking good. I mean, I know, this is going to have a warning.
Say goodbye to any Aston Villa Football Club links we'll get. I don't think we'll ever have Douglas Luiz on this podcast in our lives.
Honestly, he's just so good. I think he's like a what's the best musician out of an orchestra to pick for him? He's an elegant. What the
I'll be lying, I don't listen to many orchestras in my time.
Violin. He's like a violinist, but he's been given that sheet of paper to follow by Emery, and it's brought out the best of him. And he's just so good at what he does. He can dictate the play, whether it's playing high volume passing game or whether it's playing forward and breaking the lines. He's got it all. And McGinn, he's been put into his best position.
Sort of give him the bassoon, I reckon, in the orchestra.
Yeah.
Big, loud, lovable.
I bloody love him. And McGinn, and he's just took that role, and as you said, he's made it his own, as well as following the instructions that he's given. The two that I picked, my love for Ollie. He's always been my main man. He's always been the one that I wanted starting, and I always saw the potential of what kind of goal scorer he was.
Yeah,
he just needed to be got into the right positions, and that's what he is now. But for me, the most pivotal player under Emery has been Mings. And that's, as you said, he's still doing what he's always done defensively, but everything that we do attacking wise starts from the back. And he can either play long, he can play the ball into the channel, or he can play through the lines.
Yeah.
He's become so good at orchestrating play from the back now. He's not rash under pressure. He knows when to play and where to play and how to play, and it's been really key for us in building up from the back. And that's what's impressed me most about him, because he's always had ability on the. I'm pretty sure he's a fullback by trade. He used to play fullback at
He
Ipswich.
was fullback for Bournemouth. He was left back, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's you can tell that with how he brings the ball into midfield sometimes, that confidence on the ball. It's just getting that sort of education of how you would say the Spanish footballing way, be taking extra touches on the ball, and no pass is too short either. You've got to drag players about, and he's just took to it like a duck to water, and he still looks like a captain. He's got no captain role at this club, but he still looks like a captain and leading by example as well as vocally. So for me, he's been the standout.
You just with Mings, obviously I can't think of what to compare it. There's one film, right? You've got a film in your mind that you love, right? It's sort of your favorite film. You can tell me if you want. You don't have to. And then I could go, that's shit, and you'll defend it, and you'll try and convince me, and I will go, no, I've not seen it, but I've seen one clip from it, and it looks shit. That is what we've had to do against opposition fans all this season, and since Mings has been in our starting lineup, and with other fans of ours, because they don't watch him, they watch, oh my God, he's misplaced that pass and slipped a bit. Donkey. And it's like, no, believe it or not, football isn't played in short snippets of clips. He has full games where he is impeccable. He actually, I think on Saturday, he misplaced one pass that led to a small counter-attack led by some small club in black and white. And it was pointless anyway, because they didn't do anything from it, because small club, black and white, sub on the time, that sort of thing. And that's it though. That's the only mistake he's made I can remember for months now. It feels he doesn't make mistakes like that. He centre backs misplace passes. It's what they do. No centre back is perfect. I think the only centre back I've seen that it pretty much. Actually, no, that's not true. John Stones is known for making errors at times because he's a ball playing centre back. Yeah, with Mings, it's been a constant defence. I mean, I was defending him again yesterday, and thank God for any Villa videos they put out or Villa streams, because I've been overloaded with meme content. I've got Bertrand Traore putting two fingers up to use to pretty much any Newcastle fan that comes in my mentions now. So more power to him. And I think obviously we've chatted about Ollie. We'll move on now. Ollie Watkins is currently sitting on 14 goals, 30 games played. That's 12, is it now? 12, 13 since the World Cup resumption from the World Cup. Haaland saw that and had to go and score 2 because he saw that Ollie Watkins was one above him and went, I ain't having that.
Yeah, he's not a real person, is he?
No, it's not fair, is it? So really, Ollie's the winner. Yeah. And obviously the second question was, how many goals do we see him finishing on? I would also point out he's got 20 goal contributions. He's got 14 goals and 6 assists. That's nothing to be laughed at. That's really good. So I'll be honest, and we've got 7 games left now. So obviously he's not going to score a hat-trick in all of them. And if he does, that's probably the Golden Boot second runner-up. So, there's no point going for that. I do genuinely, however, see him finishing on at least minimum 21 now.
I've gone 20. I think that would be the record for us in a Premier League season, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think anyone's got over 19. So I'd love 20. That'd be great. A 20 goal striker in the Premier League. That'd be something to shout about. And that's what 6 goals now in that he'd need to get in 7 games. I think he can do that. Some of the games left, I'm seeing a hat trick against Wolves. That'd be so good. That'd take him up to 17 alone. So, but yeah, I think I'd love him to get 20 just to prove that he can be a 20 goal a season striker, and that's That's with getting 2 goals in 11 games at the start of the season.
Yeah.
So what could he get? You know, if he got 20 the start by the end of this season, he's capable of 23 to 25 probably. That'd be the return on that is incredible. And you know, as we said, he's not just a goal scorer. His all-round game is really, really good.
Yeah. What I enjoy most about watching him, it's not sort of the fact that he doesn't score too many wonder goals. That doesn't discount his finishing, but he scores the goals I've always wanted him to score. Just not the tap-ins, but the one-on-ones and the finishes where you just need him to put it away. Nothing fancy, just put it in the back of the net, and he has been. The 2 goals against Newcastle are just perfect. That's exactly what you want from a striker. In the box, gets the ball and puts it right where he needs to both times. No messing. The centre-back's got no chance. Yeah, obviously my prediction has him scoring pretty much a goal a game for the next 7. I think that he does get a couple of 2s in a couple of them, and probably I think weirdly enough, it's almost written in history that we somehow get Europe, but in the back of it, it means that Unai Emery has his first ever 0-0 draw against Brighton at home to secure it. For some reason, that's in my head that's the way that our history goes. Is I finally get to see my club in Europe, but I have to see this amazing record go, especially the record of us scoring in every game as well, which is also really key to note. So I think he's got a few more in him, and I think he's been outstanding. And judging by the replies on here, you've got so many people. You've got 19s popping out. You've got a couple of 20s. Actually, I'll be honest, the majority are 20s. And, you know, a couple of people saying they hope they underestimate. A couple of people with me 21, 23, which would be brilliant. That's 9 goals. So, yeah, it's a player that I counted out too much. And clearly I was drawn to the idea that players are their own makers and downfall when it's clearly not the case. And I'm just glad to know that, because I've been so blanket with my statements that I've now learned to just be honest and realize that we've got a Champions League winning squad.
Always got to stay humble, you know. It will be nice. It will be nice seeing Watkins, you know, putting 3 past the keeper at the Bernabeu. But yeah, he's just, his game has come alive, and it's no surprise under Emery because he gets the best out of his strikers, and they're all similar sort of area that he scores from now. It's in and around the 6-yard box. Whether he's got there through a good run or whether he's in the box in the right place, he's just always in that right area to put the ball in. And when that's your game, you will score plenty as long as you're being fed. And we are 1 game away now from breaking the Premier League record of consecutive games scored in since the start of a manager's tenure. I think it will be 20 games. So we've done 19 games under Emery. Yeah. So that'd be lovely to have. And you know, Brentford are a good side, not bad defensively. Recently they've wobbled a bit, but I can't not see us scoring. I can't not see us scoring ever again. I don't know what Aston Villa 0 is anymore. No. It doesn't happen. So, you know, I think we're just so on fire that half the time momentum and form just comes into it, that they're going to go into that game thinking, you know, we're going to score. It's about stopping them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But, you know, another win on the road.
I was messaging my mate and I was like, I'll be honest with you, I'm busting for the loot. And it was just about to kick off. You went, don't go now. All your goals are scored within the first 55 seconds, it seems like. And it wasn't wrong again. Exactly. All I can say to all Villa fans is, no matter what you can do, at least catch the first 15 minutes of every Villa game. No matter how busy you are or where you are, I'm going to do everything in my power, because unfortunately, you know, a bit of a disruption to the timeline, but I am away in another country this weekend, unfortunately. So, despite the fact it's going to be so hard for me to find the game, you can bet your bottom dollar I am finding the first 15 minutes somewhere, because I'm well aware of the fact that Watkins will have bagged probably 3 by the time I'm able to find a stream there. So it leads us on perfectly to the final question, and a great way to round off the pod, because it only seems like a positive conversation. And it was, where will we finish now? And it's hard to put a prediction down, because if everyone was on the same games played with the points they are on now, easy to predict it, really. It feels a lot more comfortable. But I've gone through, before I say what I think, I've gone through and I've seen the majority is 8/7. I think 8's, yeah, 8th actually feels a bit disappointing now. For some reason, I would never have said that at the start of the season, but now it sort of hurts. 8th and 7th is what I'm seeing majority. I have seen a 4th.
There's a couple of 5ths and 6ths, but I think the main one was 7th.
Yeah, it depends, doesn't it, on cup trophies and stuff like that. But there's a likelihood that Europe can stretch as far as 8th this year. There is a realm of possibility where it does go to 8th, and that's obviously Conference League, I believe, for 8th, which, trust me, I'm not turning my nose up at. I would bite your hand off for that now. So I think 6th.
I'd agree with you. I'm going 6th, and I just think it's sort of like a hopeful prediction, but it's because there's so many variables at play. I mean, Brighton's 2 games in hand, I think, are against City and Newcastle, so they're not easy, and we've already got the points in the board. The pressure's on them, and that's
they feel like draws, don't they? I mean, City don't look like they're losing another game this season.
I can't see it, and depends what Newcastle turns up now. Whether it's the Newcastle that we've seen all season, or whether it's that Newcastle from the first half against Brentford, or the Newcastle against us at the weekend. You don't know what you're going to get at the moment. So they're not easy games for them still. So I could see 2 points out of those 2 games, the same as you. But yeah, we look at these last 7 fixtures and say, these teams are around us. It's going to be hard. But as we go along, 3 games time, it could be a team that's seriously out of form. And, Spurs being one of them, you don't know what you're going to get. And if you get at them, they're scared. So it's one of those, isn't it? We've got Fulham next Tuesday. They could have a bad game on the weekend and go into it not looking forward to it. We could do it, and it'd be the other way around. It's so hard to call, but going out optimistically because of what we've been watching, I can't not see us getting Europe at the moment. And again, that's still crazy. I don't care what form of Europe it is.
No,
getting Europe from where we were 12 games in is just bonkers. We were on 12 points. We were in a relegation scrap at that point, and we've only added a left back and a youth prospect up front to the squad. It's just incredible, and I'm here for the ride. Whatever happens the rest of this season, I'm happy with what I've been watching so far, and it's valuable experience either way. So it is what it is.
To end. That's my problem. Is I don't want. It's the first time I've gone to the last 3 games season. I've not gone. Please just end it now. Just get the season over. Get me to the summer. Get me to next season. I'm just desperate for it to happen. For it to just continue. I don't ever want to stop watching Villa play football at the moment. And again, I don't think we've ever been there. The way I see it, I see Brighton going above us, but I see Spurs dropping out of the top 6. That's the way I see it going. I think. I don't think they've not got the resilience in that team to hold out for what is basically 7 cup finals rest of the season for everyone in that top 6. There is now, I think it's got to be for a long time. There's no dead certs for where they're fighting for. There's no dead cert for the Premier League right now. There's no dead cert for 3rd, for 4th, for 5th, for 6th, for 7th, 4th, for 8th. It is a wild season, and I'm so glad that we chose the good wild side. And yeah, of course, it would be unfortunate and slightly disappointing if we weren't to finish top 6. But again, where we came from, man, like we need to hold some things in perspective. And like I know it's not a winner's mentality to sort of be happy with being lower where you are now, but it's sort of just the way that football is sometimes. And
Yeah.
annoyingly, these teams like Liverpool, despite the fact I think if they win their games in hand, they go level with us above on goal difference. So it is just going to come down to the games against these clubs. You don't know. I'll put this idea out there, but the teams above us, if Spurs, Man United, and Newcastle, one of them, or I think Spurs will, but Man United's injury problems come back to haunt them, and they play a team that actually shoots against them rather than Forest, there could be a top 4 spot opening up. And it's not outside the realms of possibility that a team on a rich vein of form win and sneak in there. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's how open it is now. And the fact that that's a possibility, and everyone's showing that graphic, the Sky Sports graphic, where we have 0.7% chance of finishing the Champions League.
It's a load of crap.
It's tosh,
so
and
bad.
it seems like all of a sudden we own, all the stats we see at the moment are ones that we don't like, and that is, believe it or not, it's human nature to look for the negative. So, you look at that and you just got to go. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah.
That's all you've got to think about it. We didn't ever think that I thought that we'd get Champions League in like 4 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're looking at predictors and probability, we were given a 93% chance of relegation the season that we nearly went down. And look at it. Look at where we are. So don't ignore all of that stuff. That we famously don't really like the stuff that we're peddled by the media, and that's what it is.
They put it out there to cause this.
They do.
They want us to talk about when have you ever seen it? You've never seen a percentage for top 4 ever. But they've clearly saw it and gone, that's going to really it's going to piss them off that Villa fans have got 0.7, yet, 2 places below them, Liverpool has got 7%. That's going to annoy them. And of course, it's not great to see, but
it's the legacy stuff that they like to hang on to. But I think the last thing I'll say is football changes so fast, and for all we know in 3 games time, for all we know in 3 games time, we could have lost 3 in a row, we could have won 3 in a row.
Unai out sort of thing, is that what you're saying?
Never, he's staying forever. But just enjoy it, because for once we're safe this far away from the end of the season.
Yeah,
we're challenging, and a loss right now would be a much more enjoyable loss than what we're used to at this time of the season. And just enjoy it, because it's a different sort of pressure and nerves, and it's exciting. And we don't know, it doesn't come around often really for us. So just enjoy what you're watching, get behind the team. And there's a big fat chance that we could be in the Champions League, the Europa League, or the Europa Conference League, or none. Just enjoy what is left, because football is entertainment, and that's
enjoy the ride, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's a flight, and we've gone through takeoff. We're up in the air now. We had heavy turbulence at the start. Now we're smooth flying, and it's almost relaxing. You've got a great film on. You're watching all 3 of the Star Warses on a flight to America, and you're thinking, this is great. You've got table service, you've got seats, so you've got whiskey come in. This is amazing. Like, for some reason, they're letting you smoke cigars on there, which I've heard that some people might be impartial to on the podcast. It's amazing. And you think, I don't want this to end. You're not thinking about the destination. You're enjoying what's happening. And that's what we need to do now. Just enjoy what we're enjoying, because, like I say, football changes. It's a fickle game, and things happen. And, all it takes is like an injury or things like that, and the mood changes. So it's the first time ever as a football club we can genuinely be overwhelmingly positive about what's going on. And I think the end of the season, you're seeing a club that is going to probably be one of the host grounds to the Euros coming up in 2028, is it? I think, if my maths is correct. It was 2028 bid. So World Cup 2022, so 2026. Yeah. So, we're a club that's expanding, a ground that's going to be so much different in the coming years. We've got the inner city training facility as well. What is so much to enjoy going forwards, that we sort of get tripped up and forget, oh right, we're actually a really good football team right now. And all I'm seeing is videos popping up. Aston Villa are a real problem. Aston Villa doing it. When have you ever seen that rather than the decline of Aston Villa and the pain of an Aston Villa fan? And I'm loving it. I'm anxious to watch us, but I'm not anxious to watch us. And that's what I like.
Yeah, well put. And each game we've got to take it at a time. You know, on to Brentford now, and whatever happens after that, we look to Fulham, and then after that we look to the next one, and that's how we've got to take it. Because
completely,
I think the thought of getting to the final day of the season and having something on the line positive to play for is just really, really exciting, and I hope that's the case.
I agree. And as Emery Martinez said, 7 cup finals, treat it like that. Why not?
Yeah.
But enjoy them. Enjoy them. Enjoy it by being fucking disciplined.
Love that.
Brilliant. So, well, you know, to those of you that are keen for the next episodes already, you know, Dr. Dre style, you know, reference for the hip hop loving fans there, and I realise how white I sound when I say the word hip hop. Obviously, next week's episode is going to be a bit different because we're also not going to be able to record beforehand. I don't really anticipate the fact that I'll be able to fly home with Zoom on my phone to get a recording out on Monday, unfortunately. So Tuesday, we're going to try and do a little immediate, almost possible, or soon after post-match pod with James calling in from outside the stands at Villa Park. So it's brilliant, and obviously we're gonna smile and not be jealous that James is going to the whole end on a Tuesday night game. We're playing for Europe. We're going to be happy for James, and this is definitely not me doing my personal coaching and my therapy lesson. So yeah, keep an eye out. Obviously, we'll still be posting on everything, and yeah, just I obviously got to do it because I want my little graphic to come up again. So you gotta hit the like, smash subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, up the Villa.
Up the Villa.